Is Natasha Cannon. I'm the Managing Director for in-house recruitment. I am here with Della from Aon, and we're going to do a little bit of an interview around some of the challenges that are current talent acquisition are currently facing, and we're going to go from there. So, Della, would you like to introduce yourself?
So my name is Della Rath. I'm an organisational psychologist with Aon Assessment Solutions. So we are known for providing really robust, really science-backed online assessments. Just for a bit of background into what we do, so we assess 40 million candidates worldwide.
In these times of change and uncertainty, what should organisations be doing to combat that face-to-face hiring disruption that they might have going on at the moment?
So there are lots of reasons why we can't assess face-to-face at the moment, but hitting pause and downing tools isn't really an option. We need to keep our candidates in our talent pool. So what we are doing with a lot of our clients, especially recently, is moving those face-to-face assessments online onto some of our virtual assessment platforms.
What tools are out there and can be used to mitigate the need for a face-to-face interview and turn it into a virtual interview?
There are lots of tools that we can use. What we are mainly working with our clients at the moment is an initial step of our off-the-shelf work style behaviours assessments, and also using some of our cognitive, so our ability assessments that are related to good performance and role. And then that next step in the process, which would typically be, an assessment centre or an interview, we are moving that assessment material and moving that step into a virtual environment instead. So how this can work really well is either as a two-way interview. So that's using our virtual assessment platform, whereby you can schedule using conferencing software to have that two-way interview that you would usually have. Or we can also use our video assessment platform as a one-way interview. And why that works really, really well, especially at the moment, is that you can ask candidates to record their responses to the questions. And then now that everybody's working really flexibly, managing work around sharing responsibilities, it means that you can then go back and look at that interview quite flexibly in your own time, assess and score as you usually would. What we're also seeing our clients use is our virtual assessment platform for the assessment centre material itself. So exactly like a face-to-face assessment centre, the candidate logs in, they have their timetable, they have their assessment centre pack, which has their exercises. It may be a case study, so you've got all of your material in there. You might have graphs, you might have different documentation around your organisation that you would normally present face-to-face. Then the candidate records their response if it is a one-way interview, a one-way assessment centre, or you can actually do that in a two-way environment as well. So checking in on the candidate throughout, maybe asking disruptor questions if that's something that you tend to do face-to-face.
Lots of organisations now, as you mentioned, are turning to those virtual assessments. Is it as good and does it work as well as the face-to-face?
I think one of the big benefits of choosing a virtual solution is that it really widens the talent pool. So in terms of social mobility and geography, so where you may have had candidates who maybe couldn't travel to an assessment centre, this is really making this very, very accessible to candidates. Another real pro of this approach is that you can provide the candidate with reporting throughout. So if you do have an initial stage where there is a behaviours assessment, personality assessment, an assessment of motivations or ability, the candidate is getting a report, so they're getting something for their investment at each stage. So at the online assessment stages, at the online assessment centre stages, they can have reporting on their performance, tips on how to develop, but also then reporting for the managers as well. So the time that they spend is much more focused and it's much more high value time, rather than spending their time at a face-to-face assessment where often you hear it's it can be quite frantic. You're kind of wondering, are you where you're supposed to be? Are the candidates where they're supposed to be? What happens if somebody doesn't show up? So a lot of those logistics are much easier to handle and account for if you use a virtual solution.
For organisations that are running assessment centres, how would you suggest they move these virtually? What are the first steps?
So in terms of moving an assessment centre that you would traditionally do face-to-face online, we're doing this a lot with many of our clients at the moment. There was a client who needed to run an assessment centre with 80 of their candidates. So this was a global financial services client. So they had 80 candidates to assess and didn't want to delay the process, because in delaying the process, you're delaying your talent that you may very well miss out on. But also they wanted to manage the expectations of those candidates as well, and make sure that if they were due to come into an assessment centre on a certain date, that they could still fulfil that promise. So within a very short time period, we used the assessment material that they would have administered face-to-face, and we put that on our virtual assessment centre platform. So it's exactly the same as a candidate coming in face-to-face. They see all the same material. It's just a virtual version of it now. So in the case of a one-way interview, the candidate completes the material, they record their responses, and then the assessor can go in and assess and provide a score in the same way that they would have.
What about the use of AI in interviewing? Is that something you've experimented with or know much about? Is it something that works, or is it just a buzzword?
We are also incorporating within our VidAssess platform, so our video assessing platform, we have the option to use AI to score those video interview questions. It has been a really, really effective solution, in particular when you have huge volumes of candidates coming through. And it is currently a solution that we have rolled out to a number of our clients. I would say probably most notably the Ocado Group. So when I spoke with them recently about the impact that was having on their process, they basically are able to, so the AI scores the interview questions, but they can also go in and look at the questions as well, if they also want to have a look and see if they're rating consistently.
So for hiring managers and recruiters, conducting an online interview might be slightly different. Do you have any tips or tricks that you could share with these guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's more and more important to have those touch points. So check in with the candidates, make sure that they know what to expect. If it's going to be a video interview, make sure that they know that that they'll be expecting to have the video on. But apart from that, I would say just be yourself. You are your organization's shop window at the end of the day. So be yourself, show empathy to the candidate. This is a new experience for them as well. So I would say smile, use your icebreakers as you normally would, put the candidate at ease, and then really just follow best practice as you would with any interview. So make sure that you're super prepared, make sure that you're not distracted. I think a lot of the time, even if you're doing a video call, you get distracted by your own image, or you might get distracted by an email popping up. So make sure that all distractions are to a minimum, and just set the candidate's expectations. So tell them that you will be taking notes. It's the usual best practice stuff that you would account for if it was a face-to-face interview.